I'm Dr. Alan Gruning. I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes about drinks, about how what we drink affects how we feel, how we look, the obesity epidemic in America. Are our drink habits contributing to how unhealthy we really are? And I think clearly the evidence that we're going to look at says yes. What is the problem? Well, first of all, we're not drinking enough water. People in America are grossly dehydrated. You're supposed to be drinking half of your body weight in ounces per day in water. And that has to be the right kind of water, free of all kinds of toxins and chemicals and chlorine and fluoride. So reverse osmosis or distilled water is probably best, certainly free of plastics like plastic water bottles. So clearly, drinking adequate water and the kind of water is important. But also, we've been fed with a lot of hype that gets us to want to drink sugary beverages and sports drinks, and do these things contribute toward our unhealthy lifestyle? And yes, the answer is that they do. Here's an article that was released in March of this year, 2012, and it says this: men who drink a sugar-sweetened beverage once a day have a 20% higher risk of heart disease than men who avoid sugary drinks. One drink a day, one sugary drink a day, that's one can of soda a day, 20% higher risk of heart disease. That's pretty scary. Why is that happening? Well, clearly when we look at what's in sodas in particular, but sugar-sweetened beverages in general, a lot of it is high fructose corn syrup. Is high fructose corn syrup just another sugar, the way the ads on TV seem to promote it? And the answer is no. If you ask Dr. Robert Lustig, who's a pediatric endocrinologist out at Stanford, if you watch his video on YouTube called Sugar, the Bitter Truth, he clearly has plenty of biochemical evidence that fructose is not another sugar. It's a potent poison. And when you concentrate it in the form of high fructose corn syrup, it is definitely contributing to the obesity, heart disease, diabetes epidemic that we are facing in the United States. So you must avoid high fructose corn syrup at all costs. And it's in everything, not just beverages, but it's in ketchup and barbecue sauces and just everything you look at in your refrigerator and pantry. There's high fructose corn syrup, so you've got to get rid of that. It's heavily loaded though into sports drinks, and so do the sports drinks carry a risk for us also? And here's an article that was released. Actually, it's a series of articles that was released in the British Medical Journal, showing the myth behind sports drinks that is being fed to our children and athletes, and the reality behind it, which is that sports drinks are bad for your health for most of us. Now, sports drinks were developed, Gatorade in particular, for really seasoned, conditioned, hard-working athletes that were football players. It was not developed for the normal, average, everyday person who's exercising. And so the things in sports drinks act differently in our body than it does in their body. And there's been a lot of marketing hype to parents and to kids that if you're exercising, you should drink sports drinks. But what is the reality? The reality from all these studies in the British Medical Journal is that there is no evidence that these sports drinks help you in any way, that there's plenty of evidence that they contribute to diabetes and obesity, especially in our children, and that there's a lot of hype behind the whole dehydration, rehydration thing that's been pitched to our kids, and that water is just fine for most people who are exercising, and that the sports drinks are really not necessary, and that they're in fact a waste of money. You know, it's interesting because when you remove these sugary drinks, sports drinks, and sodas from cafeterias of schools, the weights go down. You know, there was a study that was done that tracked the weights of high school students, and they were steadily going up, and they removed the vending machines that had sports drinks and sodas from the cafeteria, and all their weights leveled off. Then they put the vending machines back into the cafeteria, and all the weights went up back again. So clearly, there's some relationship between the consumption of sugary beverages and childhood obesity. And most kids are drinking many cans of these things a day. They're not just drinking one can a day. Do you know that for every can of soda that you have a day, you gain 15.5 pounds of fat per year? One can of soda, 15 pounds of fat per year. That's a lot of fat. And so if you remove those things from your life, then you have much less obesity, diabetes, health problems, heart problems, triglycerides, all the things that we're dealing with in America today. So again, in summary, get rid of the sugary beverages, get rid of the sports drinks, drink more water. This is Dr. Alan Gruning.